Greetings and welcome to the Creative Revolution Show. I'm Ron.
And I'm Sharine.
Join us while we talk and share creativity today, music, visual, written, art, and include a segment that we will talk about plant-based nutrition.
Yes, and today Ron and I are delighted to have on the show as our guest, Jack Nageleisen. Jack is an engine builder, a race car driver, and a total mechanic. Welcome, Jack, to the Creative Revolution Show.
Thank you.
So, please share with our audience, who is Jack Nageleisen?
I am a traveler of both time and space to be where I have been, to sit with elders of a gentle race this world has seldom seen, who talk of days for which they sit and wait. All will be revealed.
Indeed, a true mystic in our presence. Okay, Jack, it would be nice to kick this off with sharing with our audience a little bit about your birthplace and your family, where you're living now, and what you do with your creative life.
Okay. Well, I was born in northern Minnesota, very close to the Canadian border. My family was primarily loggers, hunting guides. I now live in California, and I have a business out here, and that's what I'm doing.
Any family members you want to acknowledge here?
I'm going to acknowledge my son, John, that works in the shop with me. And there's some other close family members, my brother-in-law, Rick Coffey, that I race with.
So being an engine builder, is there any difference like between the Chevy and Ford or Chrysler or Mercedes-Benz and all that? Or do all these things come from the same place? Are they all the blocks and all that stuff made the same?
All the engines are basically auto cycle principal engines, but they're very different in the layout in which they're done, and the blocks, heads, they come from the factories, whatever their label is, and then there's aftermarket parts that make them out of aluminum, titanium, magnesium.
Yeah. So, where do you get your engine blocks from?
Well, there's a couple different manufacturers, aftermarket, that I get them from, and I could name them if you wish. But I also use a lot of stock parts for the stock cars. For stock car racing, you have to use actually the manufacturer's blocks in many of these classes of racing.
Cool. So speaking of engines, I happen to be kind of partial to the Jaguar XK8s from the early 90s. Could you share anything? Is there anything notable about those particular engines?
Yeah, I too am a fan of those cars, and I've actually owned a couple of them. But what we did is we converted them to Chevrolet, Dodge, or Ford engines and put American drivetrains in them because our engines are just basically, they're superior than the early English engines.
Yeah, well, there's no need to apologize about superiority around here.
All right.
It made you laugh. All right. So, at what age did you start to realize that you were interested in racing and in engine building?
Racing, a little later, probably 8 or 9 years old, came into the racing. But as a kid, I was just fascinated with the engine in my father's boat, and I got very interested in how the engines worked. And he was a very good mechanic and knew engines and taught me much about them that I still use to this day, actually. My father didn't want me to race, but I ended up talking him into letting me race go-karts at about 8 years old. That's when my racing career started.
What is a Pennsylvania modified?
That was my old business partner, Mark's modified, and that's a highly modified passenger car, believe it or not. But it's got a special body on it and just a lot more horsepower. Kind of a mixture of parts, big block Chevys for power and big block Dodge engines, all the muscle car engines. And then they were in a very light car made from kind of a Frankenstein car made from the junkyard, actually. Fast
Yeah,
cars.
and also early on, you shared some stories about testing the jet cars. Did they actually have a jet engine in them, or they just call
Yes.
them that?
Yeah, they were a jet dragster. And this is Bill Carter's car. Bill Carter was 3-time national jet car champion. And these ran at drag strips. That's where I met him, when I was drag racing cars. And they had the jet cars running in between our routes. And he later, Bill was the only one in the world that did this. He got contacted by a guy from Ireland, and they set the Irish land speed record with this car out at Almirage Dry Lakes in California with an English driver. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, with a Irish driver.
So the photo we're looking at with all those flames, that was here in California
That
testing.
was in Arroyo Grande, and their pit crew is testing this down in front of our shop, and it was tied to a telephone pole and with a cable, and we got in a bit of trouble on that one.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so I'm looking at this photo of a black, is it Kawasaki motorcycle?
Yeah, that was a
And who,
Kawasaki Z1R.
oh, okay.
And
Who's the little one sitting on there with you?
that would be my son Johnny. That's not so little anymore. He was 6 months old.
Very cool. Very cute.
And then there's some stories about him and in go-karts and stuff. I imagined that you were building the go-karts and he was driving them, right?
Yeah, his first one was he told me at about 3 to 3.5 years old he wanted a red Indy car for either his birthday or Christmas. I honestly can't remember which, but I found this body and we put it on a go-kart. And I later found he just wanted a model car, but he got an actual one that he could drive, and that is me sitting on the back with him driving. And at 3 and 4 years old, he got very good at driving.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he competed. He was a competitive driver too, right? Go-karts.
Later on, yes,
Yeah.
there's some pictures we have of him in the go-karts, and he started racing those at 8 years old.
Yeah, you can see he has a trophy too. He must have won, huh?
Yes, he won a big race down here in Southern California, and he's very proud of that. I'm very proud of him too.
The go-karts were like a stepping stone, like a training ground for what came after that. So then you switched to racing something else, right?
Yeah, I spent a year in go-karts, and you'll see my number was 43 there. That was training to get in shape and get used to the speed and the G-forces. That cart would actually go in excess of 100 miles an hour. And it was a very cheap way to train for the sprint cars that I'm now racing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching sprint car races. They're much like motorcycles, like motocross bikes, like, and the flat racing and the sliding in the corners, and the
Yeah.
cars would ride on two wheels on the side when they would corner. I'm guessing they went counterclockwise around the dirt track as well, right?
Yes, yeah. That all came from horse racing. We just raced on a lot of horse tracks in the beginning.
Yeah.
So
And those were the cars. They spun a lot and they like flew off the track and all that kind of stuff, right?
yes, they did. And here was a picture of me doing just exactly that. I lost complete control and spun around several times and ended up in the infield, but I kept the car going. They're push start. They don't have starters. So I would have had to go to the back had I stopped and caused a caution flag. I kept it going.
So I would imagine that with a long history of racing, that you have many friends and strong connections with people that you've made who are also, also in racing. Is there anyone in particular you want to acknowledge?
Too many to mention. Too many mentors, too many great racers that helped me. I don't think we have enough time in this show or any show to actually answer that, but I'd just like to thank them all. It was 43 years of racing, building race cars. I have a lot of people to thank. It's infinite.
Good call. You would not be able to fit them all on this. It'd probably get edited. It would end on the editing room floor. But
Yeah.
can we, that's fair enough. Can we maybe just go back 5 to 10 years with the immediate family, just recent years and stuff like that? Talk about that.
Yeah, I can do that. I raced with my brother-in-law, built his engines, and we built a car with my father-in-law, brother-in-law, and that's the Coffey family racing. And
Is that the 55? Is that the number 55 car?
yeah, that's the 55 late model. That's a tube chassis. It looks like a stock car or Camaro, but it's a highly modified, very fast race car, a lot of horsepower. And that's a particular car we won the Budweiser Nationals with as a small team and beat quite a few big teams. So my brother-in-law did a great job on that.
Nice.
All right. So that's pretty much covers a lot of the history so far. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have a video clip from JPS Racing Engines, the shop where Jack and his son do their amazing creative work on engines. So we're going to hear from Jack's sponsor, right? A little commercial.
Yep.
And then we'll come back and we'll check out that clip when we come back. Stay with us.
Thank you.
But she said I cleaned up pretty well. Did you get that on film, please? Well, I'm pretty happy.
I'm here to endorse my sponsors' products. One is one-eyed snake penetrating oil. Loosens all your nuts and bolts. This is Cooter's Knot Tip Dip. When your welding tip gets hot, this cools it off and makes it work very well. And when the job's all done, we have Camel Toe Hand Cleaner.
Brilliant. That's part of your success story, right?
Yeah.
And thank you very much. Here comes Jack, fashionably late. Here we are.
Hi, Ron.
Where are we at?
We're at JPS Performance Engines.
JPS Performance Engines. Let's do this.
Well, welcome to JPS Performance Engines. This is our shop. We build a lot of racing components, and we're going to just roll through here and show you a few things on the way. This engine is going to be a 410 cubic inch all aluminum big block, or small block Chevy. What we're doing with this operation is putting these main caps in that hold quite a lot more horsepower. So,
Oh, what's this? What kind of engine is that?
well, that would be a Ibanez guitar
A Marshall.
and a Marshall amp. This is a fuel injection system that we build here. Oh, and look at this.
Is that for a car or for? Well, no. Obviously, this isn't a car you're going to drive down the road.
No, this is for a sprint car. And here's a crazy little creature that's out of our printer. And then the 3D printer. That's one of the components that's printed. That's a cylinder head we're working on. Yeah.
Look at those pretty green things. What are those?
Those are out of a Ford electric car. And we're doing some studies on rebuilding the battery packs for these electric cars. At the moment, that is there's two 3D printers set up right there. And that's where the Dragon was made. Was on this one. But you can make all sorts of different parts like this. There's a part, and it just prints it out just like that. It comes. This is the.
I like the name of it. Look at
creativity.
that. No, it's Creality.
Oh. Or just to fit and try, and then eventually they turn into hard machined aluminum parts like this.
Well, how does that happen?
Now these are done back here on the CNC machine. So this machine changes its own tools and operates. You put a basic block of aluminum in here, and this machine, after it's programmed, just makes the same part out of aluminum that you just saw created out of plastic.
Right. So what's a typical day happen here in the shop?
Well, typical day.
Well, I mean, whatever we can do on our show. Don't give me any details we can't have on our show.
No, there's no secret details here like that. My son does a lot of the CNC machining back here, most of it. And the front part of the shop is engine assembly and then racing engine building.
But do you have people come here and like order stuff, or do it over the phone, or how do they?
Yeah, mainly over the phone.
How do you
our customer base is out in the world, and
I gotta get this. This is crazy. Like,
these are all parts and tooling. This is what it takes, hundreds and hundreds of different tooling.
And this place is like just wall to wall stuff that I could never identify. Look at that. Beam me up, Scotty.
That's a computer for that machine. That's like this one. These are the drivers that load all the information and control the machine. It goes from virtual reality, drawn up on computer-aided drawing, to, as you see, components, real things.
Oh, I can't read it. Oh, there we go. Now I can read
The
it.
real question is, what do you do with all the chips?
Yeah, so we have a lot of people that are concerned with recycling. So what we do is grab all the chips, like over here.
Oh, the metal filings.
All of these chips that get machined away from the solid blocks end up in the bags and go back and get recycled.
Yeah, and there's the other part. There's the musician part coming in.
Yeah, so many times during the day, and then I just stop, get tired of working on the other stuff, and play guitar. So the secret here is the guy behind the camera right now is teaching me guitar.
All right, now we're gonna move into like race car mode. Get your motor running. Here we are. Thanks for showing us around, Jack, and inviting us into your workspace. A little bit of field shot of
JPS Performance.
JPS Performance. All right, let's close this shop up and go back to the studio.
Go like this.
All right.
All right. Bye,
Close this
everybody.
shop up. See you back in the studio.
See ya.
All right, sorry. That was a false ending. Yeah, that's not good.
We're back.
That'll be in the bloopers.
Welcome back to the Creative Revolution Show. I'm Sharine, and this is Ron with me. And we are getting back to our interview with the wonderful Jack Nageleisen. So, at this point, I think it would be fun, Jack, for our viewers to know how we all met. How did you and Ron and I meet?
Carl and I were looking for a new place to go to dinner, and we went to Atascadero, and you and Ron were playing in a great little restaurant there, good food. And we just kept coming back on Thursday nights. That was your night to play down there. And we had heard that you guys were down there for quite a few years. And so we just started making at least twice a month kind of thing out of it. And I watched Ron's guitar playing and wanted to learn more about the guitar, how to get better. And Carla was very interested in your singing. So I'm kind of excited to say that both of us are taking lessons from you. And that's been really a great thing besides the friendship.
Yeah, and I have to say that since meeting you and some of your other friends, we've hung out a lot together. We've been wine tasting. We've chopped down some trees. We built a stage, fixed some cars, and we've been jamming. So that's been cool. So on that note, like what else you'd like to do for fun and like hobbies and stuff like that? What do you enjoy, Jack?
A lot of things. I like wood carving, but one of the things I probably like the most, being born in the land of 10,000 lakes, is being on the water and boating. And I've been very fortunate to boat all over the world, and used to do some horseback riding up deep in the Sierras as well. Not so much anymore.
So what's the story with this picture with you on the horse out there in the wilderness? What's happening?
Well, let me guess, Ron. That would be the one when I'm aiming my 357 Magnum pistol. A group of us were riding deep in the Sierras, and we had a mountain lion get very interested in our horses and us. I ended up pulling out the pistol and shooting next to it to run it off because it was getting very aggressive. And that's what that was about. Someone took a picture of me sitting on the horse or riding the horse and shooting the pistol. And it was a great horse. It didn't flinch. I knew the horse. It was my friend's horse.
Yeah.
So it was used to the big noises.
And you're here to talk about it, so that you won. The mountain lion went off.
Yeah, probably missed it on purpose. Actually, I did, because it was at that time a $20,000 fine for shooting one for those reasons financially, and there would have been some sad people to lose the big kitty that was going to eat one of us. So anyway, solve the problem.
Yeah. So you've been mentioning some different things about making music. Isn't there a special club that you belong to these days?
As a matter of fact, there is. And it's Wednesday night at Ron and Sharine's house. It's called Axe to Grind. And I was honored to be invited and further learn how to play guitar in a group properly, and as well as the lessons. And my lovely lady Carla is starting to come and sing there too with Sharine, and that's very exciting for myself, and it's just a lot of fun.
These days, what is your number one axe, an amplifier, a combination that you play?
Oh, my number one axe is Ibanez guitar. I found it in a pawn shop, had it fixed up. It was one like my friend Chris John Berg played in a band called Axis, actually, back in the day. back where Ron and I are from. And then I bought a really nice Marshall amp and had it sent out and hot rodded and fixed up. And so I've got a nice guitar and a nice amp, and Ron's showing me how to use them both properly.
All right. Well, time has flown by, and we're coming to a close here with the interview with Jack Nageleisen of JPS Racing Engines. Thank you very much, Jack. I'm sure we'll see more of each other in the near future. It's been great, and we look forward to hearing from comments from our viewers on how they like the show. We will add some, anything that's important, any kind of contact information we can put in the show notes and stuff like that later if Jack's up for it. Did I mention Led Zeppelin?
Yes, you did.
And thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was great. So thanks again, Jack, for being on the show, the Creative Revolution show. It is a pleasure to have heard all of these stories and viewed photos and videos. And we will see you round.
You got it, Sharine. Thanks for you and Ron inviting me on the show. I appreciate it very much. It was very fun.
All right. Thanks again. Jack Nageleisen, JPS Racing Engines, and episode number 3 of Creative Revolution Show.
It has been a very full month of creativity. We're actually in one of those moments right now, producing this show for all of you to enjoy. I personally just finished a big design project for one of my graphic design clients. It's a super fun project, but it's very intense. And Ron and I hosted our annual Mayflower Music Festival. This is an informal music recital that our students perform in. And it's a super heartfelt, heartwarming thing. And then that night, the big kids took over and played blues and rock music all night long. Very special.
What's cooking in the Vava Vegan kitchen?
It's been hot in the kitchen. I have made, in the last week or so, I've made Greek food, Mexican food, Cajun food, Italian food, and French-inspired food, including a 9-course meal for Thanksgiving. So it's been great. As you know, or don't know, one of the reasons that Ron and I eat a plant-based diet is because it offers nutritional excellence when you have a high nutrient-dense plant foods that you work with, which is mainly whole food plants. So that's your little tip for today. If you'd like to know more, you can always let us know in the comments. So that's it. I think we can wrap up this week's show. It's been a super fun one, as they always are. Ron?
We're right in between Thanksgiving and Christmas right now in recording this episode. This has been great. Once again, thanks to Jack Nageleisen for joining us. Stay tuned because we'll be announcing when we have live performances on air and locally.
All the other good stuff. So let's keep it rolling. The Creative Revolution Show. It's on.
Right on. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, we're still making stuff up.